In this review, I'm going to talk about the Inspiroy Dial Q620M tablet from Huion. I wanted to mention some things in this review that I find that others don't mention in their reviews. So if you just want the specs and basic information, there are other videos talking about that, and you can also find it on the website. I mainly just wanted to talk about what the tablet feels like in general and give my thoughts on its performance when I use it. I put unboxing and general stuff at the end of this video because I don't really think it's important, and yeah, but I still wanted to include it just in case someone wanted to know. So yeah, it's at the back of the video just for reference. So let me just give you sort of an overview of the tablet here. I picked it up because it was USB-C, but since I use it mainly in wireless mode, that actually doesn't really matter in retrospect here. And you can charge it using the MacBook USB-C cable, probably other USB-C cables too, but I haven't tried that out. Also, as you can see, it's turned upside down. That's because I'm left-handed, so I can use the buttons and the dial using my right hand. It's very easy to flip it around in the software, and I didn't have any problems or issues or anything like that with switching it around. The tablet itself, it feels solid and nice. I found over time when I was drawing that the buttons became too hard and too clicky to press. They're not clicky in and of, or they're not hard to press in and of themselves, but when you have to press them in rapid succession, it just kind of became too much. So I switched back to using my keyboard after about a day of using these buttons. The dial, I really like the dial. I have it set up to increase and decrease the brush size in Photoshop, and that is all I use it for, and I like it for that. And also it has this sound, so yeah, I like the tactile feel of the dial. The surface of the tablet itself is very slick and there is very little tooth to it. I personally prefer it this way, and I don't really like having a lot of friction on my drawing tablets and also just when drawing in general. I've always preferred slick surfaces in general. Think hot press versus cold press watercolor paper and that kind of feeling. Also, I really like the iPad screen for drawing, and I don't think that it's uncomfortable to draw directly on a glass surface at all. So please keep that in mind so you know where I'm coming from when I say that I personally like the slickness of the surface. Next, we have the stylus, and that is where my main issues lie, unfortunately. The stylus, for me, it took some getting used to, and honestly, I'm still not used to it. At first, I found it too light and too thin, but I've gotten used to that. I know that that is the opposite of what most people talk about. It seems that a lot of people really like lightweight and really thin styluses. Styli? I don't know. I read some reviews of people complaining, or not complaining, but mentioning that they found the stylus to be too thick. So when I say it's too thin, you know, it's a complete personal preference issue here. Anyway, as I'm recording this, there are no alternatives to the stylus, so regardless of whether you find it too light or heavy or thick or thin, you just gotta learn to accept this stylus. One thing, however, that I have not been able to learn to accept is the nib. For me personally, it's too springy for my liking. I'm gonna give you some more adjectives so you know what I'm talking about when I say springy, because it seems that every person has a different word for this. But basically, what springy means is like springy, mushy, soft, retractable, give, and loose. Basically, it refers to the tip being able to move and not being like completely rigid. Because the nib is springy and retractable, I find that the output when drawing is inconsistent, which detracts from the overall drawing experience and makes the tablet uncomfortable. Let me give you a little bit more detail about this. When the tablet and the pen isn't touching anything, the nib is in what I call neutral mode. Neutral mode just refers to nothing pushing in the nib, and it's just a word that I made up for this specific instance. And then when the stylus touches the tablet, the weight of the stylus on its own makes the nib retract a tiny little bit into the pen, and I'll call this retracted 1. When you apply a bit of pressure to the stylus, the nib retracts further into the body of the pen, and I call this retracted 2. So basically we have neutral, retracted 1, and retracted 2. Drawing in neutral mode seldom registers. It doesn't register your strokes. So this makes sketching very lightly impossible. Lightly cross-hatching also isn't possible, and I found this very annoying. Drawing in retracted 1 mode is possible, and I personally presume that this is actually the point of activation, meaning that the initial activation force must be at least as great as the weight of the pen in order for the tablet to register that you're in fact drawing. What this means is that if you draw extremely lightly and expect that the mere touch of a drawing utensil on paper will register and produce a line, you're gonna be disappointed. So let me just show here what I mean by that. First of all, I have a notebook and like this weird pen, and if you look at it here, I'm not applying any pressure, I'm just dragging it across, and it produces a line every single time. And if you want to like cross hatch and make small details, you can do that too with like very, very light pressure. And next, let me just show here with the iPad, it also registers. I'm not pushing down at all, but it still knows that I am dragging the pen across the surface. And obviously, if I press harder, it will make a darker line. As I said, if you just drag the stylus across the tablet, it will not register. It will not draw a line. For retracted 2, where it's all the way in here, personally, I find that this level of pressure is too heavy for me, and I would never draw like this in the long run. I would only press down this much if I had shape dynamics or pressure sensitivity turned on in Photoshop and I wanted to alternate between a really thick and a really thin line without changing the actual size of the brush. So for rendering, I initially thought that this wouldn't be an issue because sometimes when you render, you can use opacity to your advantage so the pressure sensitivity becomes less significant, I guess, but I still managed to find some issues. So when you're trying to blend colors, it doesn't really work that well. So for me, the problem was that the tablet didn't always register when I was trying to put down a stroke, which constantly pulled me out of my sort of painting immersion. I call this sticky tools. I don't really have another word for it, but basically what I mean by this is that switching between the paintbrush tool and the eyedropper tool in rapid succession using the Photoshop shortcut keys with B and Option on the keyboard. I don't know what it's for Windows, sorry, but yeah. The way it works is that you make your stroke with the brush and then you have either pressure sensitivity turned on or you have the general transparency set to a value lower than 100. So once you make a stroke, the stroke will sort of blend together with the background. Then you eyedrop that new value and use that to make maybe another stroke, and then you eyedrop that new value and so on and so forth. And that is how I guess you blend the colors together and create smooth color transitions without having to constantly pick colors from the color wheel on the side. The problem that I found was that when you use the Option shortcut to switch to the eyedropper tool, the way it's supposed to work is you click Option, you have the eyedropper tool, you pick the color that you want, you let go, and then it switches back to the brush tool or whatever tool you were using previously, and then you can paint with that new color. So you don't have to press a lot of buttons, you just have to press the eyedropper tool. However, I found that it often got stuck on the eyedropper, so I ended up eyedropping a bunch of random colors before I realized, oh, it hasn't switched back, and then I had to hit B and then switch back that way. When you're in the drawing flow, it's super annoying that it doesn't work as expected, and also it's random. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes it doesn't work perfectly. It completely throws you out of your painting immersion. I also found that the reverse was the case, where sometimes I would click Option, but it didn't switch to the eyedropper tool. So instead of picking a new value, I was painting with the previous value on an area that wasn't supposed to be that value. So overall, that is very annoying, and yep. Also, just a side note here, I assume that this has to do with the pen and the tablet and not my computer or anything. I'm using the keyboard here, this keyboard that comes with the iMac, and my computer is new, so it doesn't have any weird lag issues or anything like that. So basically, I've never encountered this issue before using this tablet. That is what I want to say. Anyway, these are the main issues that I've had with the tablet, and honestly, they're really significant for my personal workflow. I found them annoying. Another sort of minor thing that annoys me is that the wireless connectivity doesn't work across all the profiles on my iMac, So I have several profiles on my iMac. One is for YouTube, one is for drawing. And yeah, those are the main two where I need to use my tablet, obviously. It only works wirelessly on the art one. It doesn't work wirelessly on the YouTube one. This is a minor issue. It can be circumvented by just using the tablet in wired mode. So it's not really a big deal. It's just something I wanted to mention. Anyway, all in all, I am very sad about what I consider to be the issues with the pen and the initial activation force, because I purchased this tablet with my own money and I had really high hopes for it, but I was left disappointed. So yeah, it doesn't live up to what I expected. It doesn't meet my expectations and not suitable for my personal workflow. That is all I can say. I don't dislike Huion. I'm just unhappy with this tablet. I will be trying out another one of their tablets later, and I'm currently just waiting for it to go on sale for the 11/11 shopping holiday here in China. So yeah, I'll be picking up another one of their tablets because overall, I feel like the build quality and everything is good. It's just the drawing experience that leaves something to be desired. Now, I have seen and read other reviews, and it seems that the initial activation force varies from tablet to tablet. And that's also why I'm willing to give another tablet another try. But anyway, that is it for this review part. I will be including the unboxing and maybe some commentary on that. If anyone's wondering whether or not I would recommend this tablet, I cannot recommend it. It depends on your workflow. The overall build quality is good, blah, blah, blah. But since I'm looking to buy another one, I'm obviously not satisfied. How would I be able to recommend something that I myself am not satisfied with? So because of that, I would not recommend it. And it really pains me because I purchased this with my own money, so I'm biased towards wanting to like it. But it's just not meeting my expectations. Yep, that is it. Thank you very much for watching again. Unboxing is coming next. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.